everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Modernize or Die podcast. This is episode number 241. It is September 16th, 2025. My name is Daniel Garcia. I am a senior developer here at Ortus Solutions, and with me is
Luis Majano.
Luis,
Woohoo!
CEO and founder, and everything else that you do for Ortus Solutions. How you doing, Luis?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm super excited to be hosting with you. It's been a while, to tell you the truth, so I'm really excited.
Nice. Well, you've been so busy doing all sorts of stuff, traveling all around the world. I kind of feel like, remember that old TV show, Carmen Sandiego? It's like,
yeah.
Where is Luis Majano? You were in Japan recently, you're in who knows where, just all over the place.
Yes, we can talk a little bit about that. The Japan experience was definitely incredible. So lots of chat about, if you want, about that area of development that we're doing in Asia. So it was pretty exciting.
Well, let's just dive in. Things off with Ortus news right away. We're going to talk about the Ortus stuff, and then we're going to talk about the BoxLang stuff. And off the gate with the Ortus stuff, we've got new versions of...
Lots of goodies coming. ColdBox 8. The Ocho. Yes, the Ocho. I'm very excited about the Ocho, by the way.
Me too. It's just funny. It's like, dodgeball on ESPN, the Ocho, ColdBox, the Ocho.
I know. Well, I'm glad you catch that reference, because that movie was just amazing for me.
I love that movie.
So dumb, but so good. So
you could
you
could dodge a ball.
The Ocho is coming.
Also, so what's going to be included with that?
Well, this has been really a lot of development through time. Man, I think it's been quite a few months since we started development for ColdBox 8. Obviously, the big feature is BoxLang, right? Obviously, BoxLang is our new baby, and so getting all our applications basically consolidated and compatible with BoxLang has been a lot of things that we've done for the past. With the Ocho, the difference is that there is no more CFML compatibility mode. So this means that ColdBox 8 will run natively on BoxLang. You would not need the CFML compat, so you can build truly native BoxLang applications without basically the CFML, I would say, overhead of the legacy compatibility module that we have for it. So that's a big one. That took a long time. Eric Peterson started that branch a couple of months ago, and basically I had to go through almost every single line of source in our framework to basically make sure that it can work on both engines, right, in this point, right? So in CFML, it works in one way, and in BoxLang, it works another way. So that was a huge deal for us. Obviously, the CFML community is our community that we've been here for almost 20 years. Believe it or not, ColdBox, the Ocho, releases on the...
right. It'll be easier to read, easier to...
Correct. Easier to analyze, easier to read. There's email integration, so you can actually share the stack traces, whether they're enhanced or not, and also AI integration. So basically,
really?
Compose... Yeah, so you basically, when you get an exception, you can basically have another button that says, ask the AI how to solve it. And it'll give you a pop-up of the entire prompt that you can basically, it'll actually open in Claude and ChatGPT for now. I will be adding more later. And you'll, and a traditional just kind of copy and put into your prompt, right? And this will basically take all the information about the exception, everything that's there available, except your source code. That's something that I haven't done for privacy reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And that will allow you to basically it's really accurate. I've tried it with several of my tests here, and it's basically solved the issue extremely fast. Now,
nice.
The next version of ColdBox, the 8.1 and 4, if it detects that you're on BoxLang and using the BXI AI module, then it will do it automatically inline. So it will basically, but you will have to obviously give it permission, right? That's
sure.
Right?
But the fact it's proactively giving you the info instead of...
It will be proactively. So if you have BXI installed and there's a flag for it in the settings, then basically you don't have to go and take the prompt and all the data to your tooling. It will basically be integrated, right? And you will select your LLM of choice at that point. Right?
Does any other language is doing that right now? I don't feel like
you know what? I don't
some
know.
Of the other Java language. This might be like a brand new thing. I'm sure people are thinking about it. But
yeah, I think I saw Lucy have an extended error page at CF Camp this year. Okay. So I think they're dabbling with that ability, but I think it's kind of all or nothing, right? So I really haven't seen it. And I think that obviously we live in the age of AI, and there's tons of AI stuff that's coming specifically for ColdBox, especially the ColdBox CLI. There's a new CLI AI commands that are coming soon as well. And this will basically allow you to basically integrate all the all the Copilot instructions and LLM instructions into your application. So I'm developing all these instruction sets so you can very easily integrate this with your LLM of choice
Just
to help you and assist you in building.
plug and play and get all the Ortus goodness to help you jumpstart your interactions with
Correct.
it. Nice.
So obviously a lot of focus on AI coming, and ColdBox 8 kind of sets the groundwork for all the tooling that's going to come.
Nice. So I'm going to interject really quick. I want to give a shout out in the chat. We got our buddy Scott Steinbeck saying hello, everyone. We got our buddy Kevin Wright also saying hello, and Scott has a question and Kevin has a question. So I'll start with Scott because he was first. You're there too.
Just want to make sure.
Okay. So what would be the workflow of taking a ColdBox app in CF to move to BoxLang?
Cool. So we're actually documenting this because we have done it already. We did a major updates of all our internal applications from CFML to BoxLang. And I can attest
the syntax as well, right?
Yeah. So CF casts and the BoxLang Academy, which have been obviously were written in Lucy, CFML, have now been are being certified at this moment by our Salvadorian team to basically release hopefully in the coming days here. So we're done with the migrations. I can honestly say that I don't think there were any code changes. I think the only code changes that we're done were when we were discovering some bugs, specifically with file uploads and some intricacies with HTTP posts, but everything is resolved in BoxLang 1.6. So we will document everything, our process, everything that we did. And in all honesty, the majority of the work was basically updating the servers adjacent to add BoxLang and the right modules. I believe the Salvadorian team has not made any code changes that are drastically for migration. So in true essence of what we wanted, right, is true, right? It's the drop-in replacement for your CFML.
Nice. I think one point Scott might be asking as well, if I'm understanding him right, is could he take some of his CFCs, say, run it through the transpiler wizard, whatever, and end up with the BX files with all the BX BoxLang syntax and not have any CF stuff in there at all? Be pure 100% native BoxLang.
Yeah, you can totally do that now. I mean, and the transpiler basically takes care of all the rules. So if you, and this is something that we're going to do as well, is that once we're done and we've approved it and we've certified it, we're going to be transpiling it, and CFML will be bye-bye, and then everything will be BoxLang, right? So yes, the transpilation portion is your one-way ticket to get off the platform, obviously, definitely. And that's something that we will do. The only caveat that I saw that required a code change was date format. Because and this is kind of the vein of John's existence, because John Clausen has been dealing with date formatting, and I think that by this point he does not love it. But the sad thing is that the CFML engines took their own kind of approach to date formatting instead of what Java offers, to the extent, and that's okay if you want to, enhance. But I don't think it was an enhancement at all. I think it's just more confusing, and it's always been confusing that way. So the date patterns that Java offers natively are preset, right? And CFML does not adhere to that. Not in all of its extent.
CFML, right? Or Lucy? Because I thought Adobe
both.
I thought Adobe, one of those bugs was mine that I filed, and it's like ACF does one thing, Lucy does another. What the heck?
Yeah. So especially dealing with months, it's not months or minutes, right? So and that's mostly when you use date time formats, right?
Capitals versus lowercase versus, yep, that'll get you.
So that was one of the caveats that we discovered. Some caveats that we have seen have been around date parsing as well. CFML has been a history of being extremely too flex when it tries to basically do date and time matching, which it's really a performance issue in CFML. Even when we did the mementifier to create JSON dates and timestamps, I skipped completely the CFML portions because they were too slow. So this is something that we have documented, and we will be releasing as a blog post, maybe, or maybe added to the docs. It wasn't a lot, to tell you the truth, so the docs might just be,
might be enough. Well, I think my understanding was that for the compatibility mode, there might be some more flexibility on what will be allowed. But once you go to straight BoxLang, we're going straight Java, and that's just the way it is, because that's how it should be.
That is correct. So if you're using the CFML compatibility mode, you might not even need to address this, right? And that's our intent, right? If you're using the CFML compat module, the intent is to be compat. There might be edge cases out there. There's another one we discovered about visibility scopes for static, which is something ridiculous that I didn't even know Adobe had introduced. And it basically, it's like if you can add private or public to the static scope, which is basically Brad, don't even get Brad started on that one, but it's basically irrelevant for our design patterns of CFML because static is a scope, right? Everything's scope driven. And when you say public or private, you already have scopes for that, right? Variables or this. So, and they don't go there, right? So it's like a private static and a public static. Very confusing. But anyways, that compatibility in the parser is a tricky one. And that one we basically discovered, but we have not addressed. We documented it. It's a tricky one because it involves the actual parser notations. So I don't know how we're going to deal with that one. Let's put it that way.
Well,
But that's the only tricky one.
Well, Kevin had a question earlier. Will AI do it correctly when we integrate all these AIs? And my kind of impression with the AI working with Claude especially is trust but verify. It does a pretty good job of getting you there. It might not be 100% perfect all the time. I know Brad likes to comment every time ChatGPT gives him something wrong, and he's just like shakes his head at the clouds. But
well, you know, the LLMs are designed to basically what's called hallucination, right? So they're designed to hallucinate. So that means that basically they don't know. Yes. So the LLMs, when they don't know the full extent of something, they just hallucinate it, and that's the term they use. And it will basically make things up, right? It will hallucinate because it doesn't have enough data to actually corroborate in order to build what you require.
That makes sense now. I never thought. I know I've asked it before. Can you tell me about blah blah blah? And it gives me info. I'm like, nope. If you go to their site, they do not offer that feature anymore. So what about this? And they'll come back. Oh, you're right. I missed that. Okay, here's the correct info. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
How it goes back and forth.
Yeah, LLM AI hallucination is a thing, and you have to be aware of it. And that's why, you know, as a developer, you know, these are tools. Obviously, it has made me 1,000 times more productive than I ever imagined. That's a fact. But it also, I cannot blatantly just use it and not verify, like you said. It has to be verified.
Yep,
absolutely. It has to be verified. And through experience of all the work that we've done with AI right now, you also have to be careful because the architectural decisions it makes are not sometimes the best ones. So finding bugs, fantastic. Patching little bugs, fantastic. Designing a system from scratch, it's going to basically give you one opinion and one approach. So I think that for me, the best thing is to iterate. Iterate and iterate. If you're starting something from scratch, use it like Iron Man, like Jarvis, right? And you're asking it things and you're and that's how I feel, right? It's like, no, how about this pattern? How does this pattern look, right? And this is how I use it. And I think this has been through experience the best way I have adapted to use the AI tooling in order to bring sanity, because sometimes it just goes on a tangent, complete hallucination, and giving me something that actually doesn't even compile or work.
I kind of feel like we need a whole separate webinar or even a video or something just on how you use AI, practically using AI to do your development. I think people would really be interested in that, not just develop, but also how you're use it a lot for writing documentation, right?
Yeah, I mean,
stubbing it out and then cleaning it up.
I think that in all reality, BoxLang would never exist if AI was not in play here. When we started, even ChatGPT and Gemini existed and very raw. So AI has kind of been core to everything that we've done with BoxLang, and the speed of iteration and where we are is because of this tooling. It doesn't mean that it's perfect. It just means that it's a tool, right? So, and we use it extensively now for documentation. I've, you know, taught my model all the different things, even how I like code, right? And when I want to write more pieces of docs, right, I have everything prepared in my project, and I can basically write, you know, a whole set or a whole page of documentation in about 3 minutes, right?
Nice.
Obviously, I have to proofread and update some of the examples. Sometimes it hallucinates and doesn't read correctly. But you know, I think that we could definitely do another podcast on this and maybe
I think we need to just for this. And the last quick question before we got to move on, because there's a lot. If you had to say, as of today, September 16th, what's your favorite AI? What would it be?
Well, I think that I use all of them. So Claude, I mostly is my go-to for code development. So for discovering really difficult bugs and for generating code and inside of VS Code, Claude is my agent of choice. Now, ChatGPT is my LLM of choice for iterating ideas.
Yep.
So I do not do that with Claude. I do it with ChatGPT, and it's the best to just hash out an idea that I have or a new runtime that I want to develop or something that I want to build. It gets me from 0 to 98 extremely fast and really well. And then I execute that through Claude, right? Gemini I use for kind of real-time information and for image generation. For me, it has been the best for image
Really?
generation right
Okay.
now. Yeah, ChatGPT second, but I would say that Gemini has been my favorite for doing image generations.
Interesting. I
And
haven't
then
tried that yet, but yeah, nice.
Grok, I really have not touched the surface a lot on it, so I cannot really, uh, tell you a lot about it. But those are kind of my experiences day in and day out with some of these.
Well, we definitely need to do a practical AI just to show from somebody who doesn't know anything about AI to people that are half on the fence. Let's keep going through lots of good stuff. So I think the other big thing was CB Wire 5, I believe. Is that coming out this week?
Yes, so we've been working hard with Grant. So we have our training course next week. So big
Oh,
plug
that's
there.
right. Summit.
Yes. So Cold Fusion Summit is in Vegas next week. There's still space. We still have a few seats left for a workshop with Grant. So that will be Wednesday and Thursday for a workshop. And we're basically going to be using ColdBox 8 and CB Wire 5. So Grant has been hard at work as well on the new iteration of CB Wire, making sure it has all the new goodness of Livewire, as well as doing pure BoxLang implementations as well. You can actually write your components in BoxLang now, which the syntax is really nice as well. So for next week, we're going to be definitely using ColdBox 8, CB Wire 5, newest iterations of BoxLang as well. And so all the new goodies will be available to these students next week.
Nice. That is awesome. And Grant is aware that it's going to be released this week, right?
Well, just like I'm aware of ColdBox 8, right? Let's just say I haven't slept in a while.
I bet. I bet. All right. Let's move it on. There's a lot of stuff I had on there. I'm going to kind of skip over some stuff and we can cover it
Sure.
on the next episode because we got you and you're giving some awesome info to everyone here in the chat and on the podcast. I'm going to go down to BoxLang. BoxLang 1.6. I heard there's a rumor that it's coming soon.
Yes. Well, we're working hard. I want to make sure I can cut something. We're usually doing minor releases once per month, but maybe we're going to do a release or maybe 2 releases this month. There's just so much stuff that we've done for this release, and I think it's just worth to get it out there. I think it will be beneficial for the trainees and as well for people that are migrating their applications already to BoxLang. This has tremendous amount of work in it in terms of performance. Like I said, Brad has done an incredible work with his tech empowerment workbenches, and we're going to be releasing that. And you're going to be seeing basically side by side how we perform against Adobe and against Lucy,
Nice.
all basically using the tech empowerment standards, right? But we have been basically going with a fine tooth comb on everything because obviously you don't pre-optimize, right? And we basically our focus was get to market, right?
Mhm.
And then we're basically iterating and getting better and better and better. And I honestly say that this amount of work that specifically Brad has done on performance will blow people's mind on how fast the engine is right now, even with database connectivity.
Nice. So all the performance improvements, I've heard about it. I'm really excited about it. Any other kind of big features being released as well? Not that that's not big enough, but anything else with 1.6? I know some bug fixes and some little things you're finding in here and there. Any other like killer things coming with it?
Well, we've already done about 57 tickets already on this 3 weeks of work, right? But performance was a big one. So
Okay.
performance has been a big one. Compatibility has been a second one. Another one is synchronous programming. So we've basically done a tremendous amount of work for synchronous programming and parallel executions in BoxLang. So you're going to see virtual threading everywhere now. Easy to work with, easy to manage. I've also added now into a new class basically called the Box Executor, which is an enhanced version of executor services that will be available now in 1.6, which includes a lot of AI prompts internally as well to get statuses, to get basically health metrics, and to get statistics.
Well, hang on a second. So you're saying you've got AI enabled within the BoxLang to be able to tell you the health and stats of what's going on?
Yes. So not through AI, I'm preparing it.
Okay.
So
Gotcha. Okay.
yes. So, and this goes into basically setting the framework for the BXAI module, which is going to bring the MCP server native integrations. So
Nice.
the model context protocol integrations are coming to BXAI, and the actual language itself will be an MCP server for BXAI. So basically, we're adding all the different inputs inside already, so we can ask your application, hey, how is my executors doing? And it'll give you a full report of how your application is doing.
Really?
And this goes into a new module that I've been iterating it called BX Orion, which I really haven't shown anybody, but this was basically my idea of how to graphically represent executors, threading, all the Java metrics that we've done visually. So this is something that I've been iterating in ChatGPT,
Neat.
and we're going to be targeting that hopefully soon. And this basically is preparing the runtime to give all these health analysis and information, so any LLM can leverage it and basically have real time information about your application. So a lot of things in that area are being worked on inside of the core, which is very exciting as well. A lot of documentation has gone out, which for me, it's also part of the 1.6 as well. So tons of stuff coming. So that's just a synopsis of a few things.
That's awesome. I don't think I've heard about some of those things. I can just imagine in my mind the dashboards that you can create to see the health of your app at any given time. That
Yeah,
is,
and I don't know if Brad showed you the new WebSocket clustering that's coming.
I heard about it and we're using it with a client project, and so yeah, it's really cool. I know.
So
Along with all the new stuff there, I think there's something about starter templates. Is that
yes, so that's more that's coming there. So with the WebSockets, it's a lot of work that Brad's been doing to bring clustering to BoxLang. And this will allow you basically to do easy WebSocket clustering. And we're building also a dashboard for it as part of the BoxLang Plus and Plus Plus subscriptions, that you can basically visualize all your cluster services and how they're doing with WebSockets. Brad even went to the extent of doing stomp patterns. So you can do design patterns within WebSockets. I mean, it's really fancy stuff that we're going to be releasing. And BoxLang 1.6 basically was the impetus around all of these things. And that brings us to the starter templates. So this is something that I've been iterating as well. And our first template is ready to go pretty soon here, which is basically how we're building the BoxLang admin, and is the desktop runtime. So we have
okay?
another runtime coming in BoxLang 1.6, and that's the desktop application development based on Electron. So now
Okay.
any developer is going to be able to bring and create basically desktop applications with BoxLang very, very easily in less than 10 minutes. And we even have some of the series that we're going to be doing to teach people how to do it
Well,
very easily. And the new runtime also comes with a packager, and this was very important. And that means that when you're ready and you've done your desktop applications, it will package the BoxLang mini server, which basically powers the desktop application, with an included JRE and produce a single binary for it. So this means
really?
that, yes, so this means that when you work on this Electron desktop template, it'll package it for you. So I built a packager. So basically, it'll just say, BoxLang package, and boom, it'll basically compile all the source. It will basically download the mini server version that you're working on, and it will download the JRE, and it will actually produce a package for each platform, right? Whether it's Linux, ARM, Intel, Apple, etc., right? As part of the process of Electron. And this was important to do a turnkey operation here. So right now, with one single command, you're going to be able to produce your desktop applications built on BoxLang with BoxLang mini server in a matter of seconds, right? And this is something that we've never had before. Right?
And just distribute it with. So how does that look like? It builds the
It
executable
builds
like for Windows. Is an executable? You just give it to someone, say, "Here you go, run it." There's your
that's it.
BoxLang app.
For Mac, it'll do a DMG or an app, and for Windows, it'll do an exe. And I'm still working also to see if I can get some installers going so people can actually do automated installations and stuff.
Nice. Would that also bundle any databases with that? Or you still need to have that as a dependency?
Nope, it comes with a SQLite database as well. So it comes
Really?
pre-configured with a SQLite database. It comes pre-configured. I did a little framework on top of Electron as well to abstract a lot of things for developers so they don't have to deal with full Electron. So you have a tray menu module, you have a app menu module, icon sets prepared for you. Actually, the CSS is based on SAS, and I've actually developed a SAS to build desktop applications based on a BoxLang theme. So you don't even have to basically leverage anything. You can go off the bat and use our theme basically to develop your applications. Obviously, you can use whatever you want.
And
And
so,
I really wanted to make it turnkey, right?
so when is this going to be available? Because I see people are excited about it. I'm excited about it. I've been hearing snippets here and there. I know it's something in progress. And if you had to
So,
guess,
here's
weeks,
the deal.
days,
It's already
months,
available. We
what?
haven't announced it. If you want to fool around with it, I'll put the link on the chat so people can start working on it and start basically looking at what we're doing.
Okay.
It's on GitHub right now. It's boxlang-starter-electron. Please note, it's still raw. There's still things that are missing. There's still things that I'm working on, so it's not completely there, but it's getting there. There might be a few changes here and there, but the idea is that all these starter templates are going to start popping up. And this one is a real runtime, right? There's a lot of stuff here so people can actually build desktop applications easily. We've also done a CLI starter template, and that's going to go there, Boxlang Starter CLI. Same idea, same concept. One single runtime will be produced. So people don't have to worry about distribution. So it'll basically package your CLI application. It will bring the JRE, it will bring the BoxLang binary of choice, and it will package it for you. And then basically this goes as an app or an exe and will take care of all the packaging and distribution for you. Right?
That's
There's a Tomcat version as well. So you can do BoxLang Starter Tomcat for those Java developers out there. The AWS template, it's now called BoxLang Starter AWS, has been completely revamped as well. And that one's available there as well. There's a starter mini server and a starter command box. And these will have sub iterations. So, for example, this Electron one, this is raw BoxLang, but it will come with a setup.bx that you will run once you basically clone it. And it will basically tell, hey, do you want to just use vanilla BoxLang or do you want to use ColdBox? And basically, it'll build the ColdBox portions.
wow. I asked this a little bit earlier, but what other languages are doing things like this? I feel like I don't hear about other languages doing what BoxLang is doing and what we're trying to do here and all these runtimes and all the functionality. And it's almost like just a plethora of goodness.
Yeah, I think that the only language that I know of that is multi-runtime, of course, is Kotlin, right? So
Sure.
Kotlin takes the lead on being the first multi-runtime language. So they do some of this stuff, but they don't do any of these starter templates or anything. The starter template ideas kind of came from our own ColdBox application templates,
Hmm.
right? That we've been working on for a long time. And also Spring has a lot of initializer templates as well. They also call them starter templates. So Spring Boot, basically, to clarify, Spring Boot is the one that creates these starter templates. And the Java developers have been all around tooling. And this is something that it is important for us to get out there, is to give the best tools to our developers so they can be fast and they can be mean and they can develop these applications and now go literally anywhere. And we have not been able to do that for years, right?
Wow, that's fantastic. I feel like we kind of need to start like a channel in the Ortus team, the Box team, about like Ortus Labs or BoxLang Labs, or as we're doing all these really cool alpha things, getting it out there for people to kick the tires and play with and kind of see what's coming. And because some of the
Yeah,
stuff,
I think
honestly,
that's a great idea.
I didn't hear about some of this until you just said it. I mean, I knew little snippets
Yeah.
here and there, but
Yeah,
wow.
well, these are some of the things that, when my trip to Japan,
Well,
all that inspirations came from there, right?
you know what? I'm going to ask about AI. So you said there's some updates to BXAI, and then I want to ask you about Japan because I really want to hear about that.
Yes. So the starter templates to finalize them are something I've really been tinkering on. And the desktop one has been, well, we need it because this is for our admin, right? So our
Sure.
Boxlang admin will be based off of this. So we had the works and I wanted to open source this and make it available as a web.
Nice.
Now BXAI. So lots of work coming as well, BXAI in the next couple of months here. Embeddings are coming. So this will allow you basically to tap into embeddings for you to be able to use RAG and to use also vector stores, right? So important to allow that. That opened the door, and that was contributed by Kurt Gratz, and it's still in PR. So it's coming. I'm still going through that PR release. Now, the embeddings is dependent on each of the LLM, right? To give you, and embeddings is basically just key value pairs, right? That basically go into a vector database and it gives you a mathematical vector representation of the input, right? So it can do basically calculations on how near things are when you search for things. And then you can do things like search, or you can do all kinds of, different type of things with embeddings, right? But it doesn't give you storage, right? For that, you need a vector store, right? And there's many vector stores, like Postgres has one, right? And there's like 5 different. So what I've been working on now that embeddings are getting into place is to also add an inline vector store as well. So this will be completely optional. So if somebody doesn't know how to work with vector stores, it'll come with a vector store for you. So you can actually start storing all of these key value pairs and basically do a real-time data searching and contributions with those embeddings in your vector store. Private, completely private. And this
Nice.
is important, right? There's also all kinds of vector stores that are SaaS services as well nowadays, right? And people will be able to tap into that as well, right? So that's one thing, embeddings and vector stores. The other one is memory. This is something that Jacob and I have been pondering on for months that is important to add. And this will allow basically BoxLang developers to create their own agents and provide memory. Like if you go to, ChatGPT or Grok or any of these LLMs and you just go to the raw console, right? You don't get memory, right? Because that's
Correct.
part of their offering of their agent, right? So, and this will allow basically developers to create their own solutions, and we will give them that framework for short-term memory and long-term memory, right? So we've been
Interesting.
working to give you the ability for you to have, short-term memory of your chats, different policies around your memory. So you can do window policies and say, oh, only want a certain amount of tokens as well, or textual information. And remember, the LLMs charge you by tokens, right? So there are new bits are coming as well for you to do text chunks. So this will allow you to do string chunk, and you've been able to pass a file or anything, and it will produce basically an array of chunked text. So you can feed it into the LLMs in chunks, right? Because you cannot feed them, in one shot, right? There's also a new token BIF that's coming. So you can pass a piece of text or a PDF or whatever, and it'll tell you how many tokens it's going to consume, right? Which is important when working with these LLMs, right? And then that memory will be able to you as a developer use it to create these policies, depending on what type of agent you're working on, right? And there'll be short-term memory. And then if you have a vector store or some type of database behind it, then you can use the long-term memory, right? And we've built a summarizer as well. So this will basically take your chats and everything and it'll summarize them and store them inside of the long-term memory. So the whole architecture of memory is coming. The picture is getting clearer. We've been kind of iterating on this. And I've been iterating on this on architecture decisions on how to do that.
Hmm.
It'll come with a flexible store as well. So you're going to get off the bat file stores, SQLite stores, ADBC stores,
Okay.
Cashbox stores as well, and different storage mechanisms available to you, right? So you can decide. And also another important one for BXAI is your own LLM, local LLM. So I've created an abstraction already. So you're going to be able to download, in our case, in our first initial version, it'll have a llama as your language model. And it will basically have a new CLI tool based on BoxLang. So you're basically going to say, in BoxLang, just AI local install, and it will basically install the Olama version, configure it for you, and then you'll use it just as your traditional LLM, but
It's
everything
all
will be local.
and it's all open source, right?
It's all open source, Apache 2. So anybody can build their own agents and have their own models without integrating with ChatGPT or Grok or whatever. And they can grow and scale basically their models and keep them private, right? That's the whole point. And then with the MCP servers, right, built into BXAI, then they can even take that further and basically register tools and register, what's going to be exposed in real time to your custom LLM, right? So all of this is in design phase. The only implementation that we started first is embedding. So embedding is in development, and obviously with all these releases going on, it has taken a little bit of a backdrop, but it is in development already. The next step will be memory, and after memory, we'll delve into the local LLM. So lots of stuff on BXAI for developers as well.
So we got to have a webinar on this in the coming months whenever it's all kind of ready to go and show off. And I feel like AI is something that's obviously been the big buzzword for about a year or two now. Developers I talk to are still like, I want to use it. I still don't know how to do it. And what does this mean? And
Yeah, yeah.
the other thing you kind of touched on is an important part is how much does it cost? Obviously, with the open source, it costs nothing as far as tokens go. But if they want to
Correct.
use Claude or ChatGPT and having a real world understanding of, great, I want to use BXAI in my app, but I don't want to get a bill for like an unexpected charge. And so I feel like that's
Yeah,
something you have to talk
and
about too at some point.
true. Maybe since you mentioned that, another aspect of VXAI coming as well is multi LLM instructions. And you can do it now, but this will be a way for the developer to define LLM models in your configuration because you bring up a great point, right? Obviously, using the LLMs with lots of information is costly, right? Day in and day out. So you have to be aware of those tokens. The idea behind this is that you're going to be able to define preset models with their configuration and basically just like data sources. Let's put it this way. So you can have basically a ChatGPT, configuration, a local configuration, a Grok configuration, and then you can consume it with the AI chat bits, right? Or
Okay.
AI service models. And you can just say, hey, right now I just want to talk to the ChatGPT model for this quick iteration. No, this is for the local model, and so forth and so forth. And your code basically just leverages that name which you've configured.
Sure. For the ones that specialize or the ones that, it's cheaper and I don't need the specificity. That's really cool. That is also makes a lot of sense. Our time, we got to keep going. I could talk with this
Go for it.
for
Go for it, man.
hours and hours.
It's
but
exciting times, man.
it-
It's exciting times.
And again, here at Ortus, I hear snippets and I see little chat messages here and there, but some of this stuff is new to me, and this is great. I'm really excited. And wow. Okay. Unless there's something you really want to talk about, and just kind of keep going here.
No, I think that with all the BoxLang stuff, all the work that we're doing and coming, I'm definitely going to be doing a plug for my BoxLang developer pack. I'm getting back into
What is
VS
it?
Code extension development.
What is it? Tell us.
It was just a nice little way to install one extension that brings all the extensions for BoxLang development. So I've always wanted to have that, and it's available now. And why not? I created my own theme. So I've always wanted to create a VS Code theme, and Mr. ChatGPT helped me on that one to kind of analyze and start doing different color palettes. Comes with a nice little light and dark theme, and all the BoxLang and CFML constructs kind of pop. So that's awesome.
Nice. Maybe I'll switch to the BoxLang theme.
Well, I want to configure it so you can give your own accents,
Sure. Make it purple.
But on the terms of VS Code extensions, Jacob is doing a tremendous amount of work and love on that extension. And he's going to be releasing a few things, probably today, probably tomorrow.
Yeah.
So linter, anyone? So he was working with Jason Bergquist, and we now are going to have linting natively on VS Code. So when you save a file, it automatically will format it for you according to your rules. So
that's
just
awesome.
like other languages have been doing for you.
I know, right? I feel like that's always been a little bit of a hassle in Cold Fusion trying to get the linting to work. And so just the fact that it's going to be all, do you have the extension? It just works.
Yes. Everything is going to be integrated. And actually, this is part of BoxLang 1.6. So all the visitors and information to visit the AST tree to actually do the linting is on 1.6. We're going to decouple that later for 1.7, but for 1.6, it will be a requirement. And this, because obviously it's doing it real time, right? We're parsing your file and do it in real time. We're not using regular expressions here, right? We're doing accurate depiction of your source code. So linting, full rules for linting and formatting are coming finally. So Jacob has done a tremendous amount of work on that one. It's coming soon. We're also going to be open sourcing our CPR tool as well. And this is going to be available, obviously supported through BoxLang Plus and Plus Plus. And this gives you a lot of intelligence to analyze your CFML code specifically for var scoping issues, CF query param issues, injection issues, etc. It basically scans your source code, gives you all the information inside of VS Code, and you can basically start squashing, security.
Nice. That is awesome. Okay. Moving on, the next section of the podcast, we do CFML updates, and we're kind of not too many this time around, but there's a very important one that we do want to talk about. And there is a security update for Adobe Cold Fusion coming out. Let me go ahead and get those links out there. Okay, so I just want to get some links. So it is a security update. It's available. We got the Adobe link we posted, but then we posted Charlie's link because if Adobe will tell you, hey, this needs to be updated, Charlie will tell you what it is and why it is and all the things you need to think about and all the gotchas and everything else. And I highly recommend looking through his stuff. And then the last thing was Pete. I'm also kind of just giving his updates, and I want to put that link out there so you can just follow security updates from Pete as well, from Foundio. So we really appreciate that. And then as far as, I had the link up, I just closed it. So this is a P1, priority 1 critical security vulnerability. It is affecting 25, 23, 21. So it's not something you're going to want to wait on. You are going to want to take care of it. But really look through Charlie's blog post. He talks all about it, finding the update. Now, I think Adobe said that they have not found any instances of this in the wild, but you don't want to wait around and be the first. You don't want to be patient zero for this one. So go ahead, read through there, do what you got to do the updates. Yeah, I feel we could talk about this for a long time, but I just want to give the links, Tell people go read it. It's a lot,
Yeah.
and do that. Then one more CFML update we'll talk about. Chris Simmons, he's got a nice blog post I am posting right now. Just talks about how to update your VS Code settings or to set command box
Oh,
as your VS
Windows.
Code terminal.
Cool.
And so it's pretty simple. Go to the blog post. I put the link out there, and you can see how to do that. And I think that's it for CFML updates. We're going to talk about moving on to events. We're going to kind of go through these very quickly in case you missed it. Leveling up your async game with BoxLang and John Clausen. That was last month, and we've got the recording out there. The September webinar is Build an App in BoxLang Part 2. But that's September 29th at 11 a.m. Chicago time. I'll put the link out there for that. He's got the first one he did. You can check that out. He's just continuing the series on what to do. Also, big news next week. You've been hearing us talk about it for months. It's the Adobe Cohesion Summit 2025 and the CB Wire Workshop. And so, Summit 2025, we've got Grant Copley and Jacob Beers from Ortus will be there speaking. I believe we're going to have presence there. Luis?
Yes. So I'll be there. I arrive Sunday, and you can check our booth out on Monday and Tuesday. So come by the booth and get some goodies and some cool stickers and some other swag that we're bringing. And come chat with us and tell us all the good stuff that you're using with our products. And I'm going to take my recording equipment as well. So if you guys want to hang out and do, some type of interviews or just, I'm just interested in talking to developers and see their experience with all of our products and see how we can make them better.
Nice. And then we also have, I think the day after, is that correct? The 2
Yes,
day or the 2 days after, I should say. Sorry.
So Monday and Tuesday is the conference, and then Wednesday and Thursday we're gonna have our training. So it's very affordable. It's only a few $100, and you get to hang out with me and Grant. It's a nice location called Bottega, about 10 minutes from the World Resorts, and you get to hang out with us and build cool apps. So we still have plenty of space right now. I think we only, well, not plenty, but we have about 4 seats left. So please hang out with us and get your ticket and come build cool stuff with us.
Okay. There's too much awesomeness, apparently, for this episode of the podcast. Coming up, we also have Cofusion security training online from Foundeo. That's Pete Freitag, which is, I don't know if he's done this before, but it's certainly the first time I'm hearing about it. They do have early bird pricing. Use code earlybird25. Ends October 1st if you want to go onto his website and get some training. And oftentimes, if you go and see Pete talk at conferences, I'm sure some of the information will be there, but also just things. This is one of the stuff you should just do. It's online, it's virtual, it's easy to do. Speaking of conferences, IDB 2026 call for speakers is open. I don't know how many we've gotten so far, but
I have not checked.
I haven't checked either.
But yeah, ITB is upon us.
It'll be here before we know it. It feels like it was just here like 3 months ago.
I know.
And now it's like,
time flies, that's for sure.
Yep. Then just really quick, the ITB videos on CFcasts are there. Hacktoberfest 2025, that's coming up. It's been a favorite of many of the Ortus team members. Oktoberfest, we should be, if they're not already, we will be tagging our Ortus repos so you can participate. And we'll get that there. And then finally, let's take a few minutes, Luis, and I want to hear about Luis and BoxLang in Japan.
Well, it was very exciting, that's for sure. This is the second time I go to Japan to do some work. The first time was around ColdBox specifically, and this one is around BoxLang. So I got to speak at 2 mini conferences. One was for the AWS user group. So, and it was incredible. It was in this amazing Tokyo downtown offices, like being on the Jetsons. They had like robots roaming the whole, not the roads, but the actual offices, super tech inspired. And it was great to meet a lot of developers, from around the world. And they were so excited about AWS Lambdas. I presented the AWS Lambda runtime, how easy it was to actually build applications on it. Some of the DevOps that were there actually were more excited about the CLI capabilities and the scheduling capabilities. So that was very exciting to bring all these new technologies there. And then the next day, I was hosted by Datadog in Japan as well, in Tokyo. An amazing offices, amazing group of folks as well. And this one was an event dedicated to us, and that was amazing. So they gave us basically a whole room, huge tech room, and we had over 40 people, and this was a mini conference basically. And we had 3 hours of BoxLang content. So that was exciting. So
3
it was
hours.
basically 3 hours. I basically wanted to faint after. But we did an hour and a half presentation. We did 30 minutes of kind of just hanging out, having drinks and pizza with the folks, and then we basically moved into just coding. So I kind of showcased how to build the RESTful API with ColdBox and BoxLang, and how to use the VS Code extension, debugging. And it was just great to get feedback from developers that have no, background basically on anything that we've done, and present something new, and that we're very moved by it
They're
in order to
excited.
start integrating it. Yeah,
Yeah.
excited and getting to work with it in their applications. So it was great to be evangelizing and going through all of these communities and presenting everything that we've done. It's just a huge validation of all the hard work for all of us here at the team, that we're in the right track here. And it was really special.
That's awesome. And one of the more important questions, how was the sushi?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Japanese food and cuisine is for me
Best
the
best
best in the
ever.
world. Best in the world for sure. Best in the world. Love, love, love Japan. If everybody should go and visit. So I can't wait to go back to be honest.
That's awesome. And when BoxLang takes off like gangbusters out there and we have ITB Japan some year, I'll be out there. I'll volunteer. I'll be there.
You'll go, man.
I will
We'll make it
go.
happen somehow.
Let's do it. Okay, this was a much longer episode than we normally had, but then we don't normally have Luis as a co-host. And so you're very busy. We appreciate you taking the time. I know you're always busy doing this and that and everything else. I don't know when you sleep, but apparently you do. And so thank you for that. I also want to thank you to all the people in the chat. Thank you to all our Patreon supporters, all these people that are personally supporting open source projects, initiatives like CommandBox, ForgeBox, ColdBox, ContentBox, TestBox, and all the other boxes, including BoxLang. All their contributions also fund our cloud infrastructure for things like ForgeBox and CommandBox. And so if you want to support us, you too can be a Patreon going to this link, patreon.com/Ortus Solutions. And then if you want to support us, we've got different packages. And Luis, want to tell us what they'll get? Bronze packages and up?
They're gonna get some nice little goodies, and they'll get a CFcast and learn BoxLang subscriptions as well. And yeah, it's just a huge help for us if you support us in that area. We do always a lot of open source. We believe in open source, and every little bit helps. And especially now, if you don't want to be a patron, just convince your bosses to buy licenses for BoxLang. That's a huge deal for us, and it helps us maintain the language and maintain all the over 350 libraries that we manage.
300.
And we do it at a Oh yeah, we have over
Yeah.
350 libraries that we manage. Probably more now, to tell you the truth, because that number came a year ago. So I'm thinking we have more than 350 at this point. But we manage a lot of them, and I would say 95% of that is open source. So there's lots of ways to help. Well, if you believe in us and want to be part of this mission, buy some licenses, convince your boss, and you're going to be seeding a good ground. And yeah, we're going to be building lots of great, amazing tools that are coming. So we have
Awesome.
a huge roadmap for all the stuff we want to do. So.
Just to put in perspective, Slang officially launched in May of 2025. It is September of 2025, and we're at 1.6 with tons and tons and tons of cool features. So just imagine where we're going to be May of 2026 at ITB in DC.
Yeah. And you know what's the kind of scary thing maybe for competitors is that we work on this part-time.
That's true. That's true. We have we have a lot of our own clients, and we have to keep the lights on and all that.
So buy more licenses, man. Imagine what we can do when we're full-time. Imagine that.
Yep. Awesome. Well, anyway, thank you, Luis. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This has been great. Let's do this again real soon, and we'll see some of you at Summit and some of you on the interweb. Take care.
Remember, the Ocho.
The Ocho. ColdBox the Ocho. We need some memes for that. I'm thinking already. We'll talk.
Oh, okay. We need it.
All right. Thanks.